We're thrilled to be joined now on Futbol Americas by one of the men responsible for bringing Gareth Bale to MLS. He is the general manager of LAFC, John Thorrington, joining us on the show. I'm especially appreciative, John, for this time because at the rate you've been going, in the 10 or 15 minutes we're going to interview, you probably could have knocked out, what, another signing or two?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, so let's get into how you got this deal done. And for me specifically, I'm very interested in the beginnings. How's that initial contact? Is that LAFC knocking on Gareth Bale's door, or is it the other way around?
So thankfully, Gareth's representation is a global group. And what happened almost immediately following Wales' qualification for the World Cup, which was historic, and we all know the story there, I got a message from the American representative of Stellar, Patrick McCabe, who asked if I was open to talking about Gareth Bale. And when you get a question like that, there's obviously only one answer. And so I had to go through MLS rules protocol to ensure there's a clear path that I could have a substantive conversation. And honestly, things just picked up from there, developed very quickly. Obviously, it wasn't long ago when Wales qualified. His team, in conversation with them as well as with Gareth himself, just got a lot of traction very early, and it momentum build. And it was, negotiations aren't always linear, but this was one where with each step it looked more and more possible. But I have to admit, until I saw his signature on the piece of paper, couldn't actually get myself excited enough to believe it would happen. But we're certainly grateful it did.
Giorgio Chiellini, Gareth Bale, both on TAM contracts. You deserve a medal, but I want you to focus right now on Gareth Bale. How on earth did you convince Gareth Bale to play for TAM money? That's insane to me. Yeah,
so I think the conversation honestly didn't start and it didn't end with money. I think we all know, and it's well publicized, what he's earned and what he could earn, etc. And that, I knew I wasn't going to win that battle, so that wasn't what the conversation was about. And frankly, that wasn't Gareth's motivation either. So I think the conversation largely was just us explaining what LAFC is, filling in some of the gaps. Obviously, he was aware where we are in our season, how we saw him fitting in. And then it was hearing from Gareth, what do you want in the next step of your career? What environment do you need to thrive in? And how do you feel like you are best managed to get the best out of your otherworldly talent? And it was combining those two things and realizing that this was the right fit. So it wasn't about money, it was just about opportunity. And I do think what we're talking about here is we weren't going to win the money argument. And thankfully that was not his priority. But what we do offer Gareth is a unique opportunity to come into an environment where we believe he will thrive. He'll be managed by a coach and a staff who understand what it's like to prepare for a World Cup, who understand what it's like to manage his minutes, manage his load. Thankfully, we have a really strong group already here where this isn't a desperate throw of the dice to try to turn our team around, but rather a complementary piece that we will be able to utilize in a way that we think will get the best out of Gareth, which will mean the best for LAFC.
John, it's a question that I think has flummoxed pundits all over the world. You know, what player is Gareth Bale today? He's 32 years old. That seems very much, to me at least, still very young. And we look at the recent minutes with Real Madrid, and there's not a lot of them. I think 280 minutes in all of last season in league play. So what kind of player do you believe you're getting here?
A player that just captained his country to a historic achievement in qualifying for the World Cup. And we've done all of our diligence. We've spoken to people that have worked with him, played with him, coached him, and we're very comfortable with the decision. And for us, as soon as it was a possibility, it was all systems go to try to make it happen. Obviously, we're aware of the minutes, we're aware of the physical, of where he's at physically and what he may need to be successful. But this guy's a thoroughbred racehorse. He's a Ferrari, whatever analogy you'd like to use, and they need certain care and management in order to thrive. And we believe we will be able to provide that for him.
You talk about providing that for him. There are naysayers out there, pundits, fans who have seen him maybe the last year in his club situation would say that he's not motivated. When you're making this decision process, does the motivational part come into it? And how do you feel about Gareth Bale being motivated in Major League Soccer?
So, Herc, I think we've had conversations we always ask why. So we're not just about collecting players with names and winning press conferences, and critical to that is why LAFC? Why is this guy making this choice? And we connected directly with the player in a genuine way. And I think what I really loved about the process is everybody turned their cards over. And we basically said, this is LAFC. And Gareth said, well, this is what I need. And we found that match. I obviously do not question his motivation. Otherwise, we wouldn't make this decision. Neither does our coach, our ownership, all of whom spoke with Gareth. We have a high level of comfort that in conversation, it was very clear he is very motivated. And frankly, naysayers say what they will. You do not do what this guy has done in the game without being a competitor. You don't do what he's done a few weeks ago in taking a country that has had a lot of really good footballers in its time to a World Cup for the first time in however many decades. So for us, we have a high level of comfort that Gareth will come here. We'll put him in a position to thrive. He'll be extremely motivated to prepare for the World Cup. And the other thing is, this wasn't just a 6-month conversation. It was clear from the beginning that this is the next step of his career, not just preparing for a World Cup.
John, you talk about not collecting pieces. So let's talk about the fit then, the on-field fit. How does Gareth Bale fit into this LAFC team? And specifically, how does an attack look with both Gareth Bale and Carlos Vela?
Well, on paper, it looks great. I think now the way we work here is very collaborative. So this isn't a decision made in one silo. It was a collaborative decision that everybody is incredibly excited about. And I think while I will leave the exact X's and O's up in Steve's capable hands along with his staff, what we see in Gareth is great tactical flexibility. He can play wide, he can play through the middle, and he's adapted his game as well. He's a very good passer. He's an underrated finisher. I think everybody sees what he can be like physically when he's healthy and what have you. I mean, this guy played left back earlier in his career, and certainly that's not our intention, but he's a really highly intelligent footballer. And even when I hear these things, how he played this many games for Real Madrid, name one player in our league who would have played even that many games for Real Madrid in the past year.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.